Hey guys, it's Chris from One Strong Man, home to Homestead in 100 days, and today is the 21st, I think. And anyways, we'll get right to it and bring you into today's update. Well, hey guys, man, this last week was just a whirlwind. It was, if you guys live up here, Pacific Northwest, it was just filthy, rainy, nasty sleet all week, man. There was one kind of nice day, and we spent most of that day feeding farm animals, um, mucking out kind of a barn area, and throwing down pine shavings for our poultry. They've been just swamped, swimming in stuff. It hasn't healed up since it kind of snowed, and so all the area that's normally covered and pretty dry was just a layer of muck. Man, it was pretty nasty. Which is one of the reasons why we're doing this home to homestead in 100 days, right? Is that we can kind of get some of those systems in place a little better. The coops or the runs that aren't fully weatherproof, we can heal that up, right? And help them stay healthier. Because it took half the morning, man. It was 3 straight hours of just loading back and forth and making sure everything had clean water and kind of washing out the duck run, which has just got nasty. We got a new animal on the farm. So a week ago, we got a new cow. We had taken our two Holstein Angus cows to butcher. We had done a home butchery on the larger of the two, and I'll show you a couple of pictures, hopefully right there. The second one, surprise, surprise, the slaughterhouse and butcher company, they ended up having an earlier date for us. We were way out in February, and they came in January here, and I was pretty swamped with everything going on at work. Terri at work, here at the family, so paid the piper on that one and had them do the butchery and the slaughter. But I mean, I think I told a couple of you guys, but our local fees for the slaughter company, it went outrageous. It used to be between $90 and $100 a head, depending if you just did one on site or if you had more than one to do. Pigs used to be 65, and I remember they would jump up to 80 or 85, something like that. Or maybe they were 85 if you did more than one, they were 65. The cow, though, this year went to $225 instead of $100, which just, that's outrageous, right? And I talked the guy down $25 if I buried the guts on site rather than them taking the gut pile and the hide and stuff and the head. And they got to take it to landfill now. They can't do the incinerator anymore. So anyway, I knocked it down to $200, but that's still double what we were anticipating. And then as soon as it got to the butcher calls me. They hang it for like a week, 7 days in their cooler, and then they call you on to like 3 or 4, and they ask what your cut preferences are for when they actually do the actual butcher. And man, their prices changed too. It used to be 89 cents a pound cut and wrap, and you kind of went through what you wanted, and now they only offer 2 packages. They offer one, which is their choice of package, which you basically get a couple of steaks, and then through all the quarters, like the front quarter and the back quarter, they just run them straight through the meat saw, and they cut them into like 3-inch thick. They look like big steaks, but they're like a roast with the bone in the middle. And they bone scrape them and all, but they just wrap them that way. And you get burger, but you only get on a cow that's maybe 200 pounds on a side, you'd only get like 30 pounds of burger, and the rest of it would be these big chunks of meat, which, we've done that before, but that's their standard, right? So that was $1.15 a pound, which is pretty big increase. That's a 15% increase over normal. But if you do anything else, it's $1.49 a pound. So if you want any of your T-bones done, or any of your backstrap done, or any of your flank steaks or brisket or more ground, if you want the chuck ground or anything like that, it's $1.49 a pound on hanging weight, right? So We ended up talking them into a little bit less. So we paid $1.15 a pound for everything. And we had them do most of our primals in ground meat because we just do a lot more ground burger. But it wasn't a very big cow, right? So this cow was quite a bit smaller than the one we did on our own farm. And it yielded altogether meat that we brought home was only 238 pounds, if I remember right. Something right close to that, under 250, with some bones in there, right? Because there are dog bones in there as well. And man, it was almost $500 plus the $200, $700 to have somebody else cut that thing up. We'll put it, dispatch it, and then cut that thing up. And that was really high for our local area. So as you guys are building out your plans, look at that too, right? I know a couple of you are talking about sheep. I got a good friend of mine who is talking sheep right now, and I told him go taste some sheep, man. I didn't really mind it. You know, it's a little bit different, but if you've ever had grass-fed beef, like a true grass-fed beef, that's actually what sheep tasted like to me. I know it doesn't have as much fat, so you gotta do different things if you do the sausage and such, but the steak that I had just tasted really like a grass-fed beef. So, but the neat thing about that, I mean, it's expensive to go and get a butcher, but you could do it in your garage in like 45 minutes, right? I mean, it's, especially if you're gonna do one of them into like a ham. I don't know what you call a sheep or a lamb ham, but one of those, right? If you're gonna leave it whole, I mean, it's not gonna take you time at all. And I asked the butcher there too, because the butcher does sheep and lamb and stuff there too. And the average lamb that you get a year old-ish, I guess between 12 months and 14 months or something, 18 months, whatever it is called a lamb, not a sheep. But anyway, if you're at that age of a lamb, they average between 38 and 46 pounds. If you wait until they get to the sheep age, which is basically between a year and a couple of months and 2 years, right? So that anything 14 to 24 months, right? Or 20 months, whatever that is. Then they can get up to like 75 pounds-ish for the males. After that, they're called mutton, and I think they're really good for stew, and that's about it. And that flavor profile apparently is quite a bit stronger, and they can be up to 90 and 100 pounds food weight, right? So this week's been full of a lot of little projects, working on the tractor for that fence post pounder. It's a really neat tool, really neat machine. It's driving me bonkers, man. It keeps squirting out all the fluid on the ground, but I'll get that eventually. I'll figure out the quirks. Terri hasn't been feeling great this week, and so she's kind of been in the house. So with that, the bad weather, we haven't been able to finish a single project. Oh, man. See, every day has been like a quarter of what we're supposed to do on a new project. We got a whole new project. We were running around. One of my kids went on a snowboarding trip, and when we went to go pick her up, we found this thing on Marketplace. And sometimes you just got to be ready to pull the trigger. I mean, we know that with this 100 days, we got to spend a little bit of money, get our farm up to what it needs to do to actually help us be a homestead at the end of this. One of the things that is important to us is production of energy. And so I'm going to zip you through here right to a new video, and you can see what we found on Marketplace. Hey guys, it's Chris from 1StrongMan. So see these things in the background here? Terri and I found the other day one more part to our homestead plan, which is energy independence, right? So we're checking on the old Facebook Messenger, and the Marketplace thing pops up, and sure enough, man, there's this solar system that was on top of someone's house, and they just had to redo their roof. And the company that originally installed it for the previous owner said it'd be $5,000 for them to pull it down to put it back up. So this new homeowner decided they didn't want it, and they sold it to us for $1,500. So there's some sweet deals out there. This came with all the inverters, all the wires, all the ties, all the everything, the racking system. Let's see if I can show you where the rack is. So out of there, it's called a standing lock or something like that. Holds on to each of the panels, so you don't have to screw through them. Anyways, this isn't a huge system. It's about an 8 kW system here, but we're going to put it on the roof and start that one additional plan here to reducing some of our costs, as well as producing more on the farm. So stay tuned. So another thing we got for our farm this year, like I said, it feels like we're just bleeding out money. But they're all the things that we have to do here in the next 100 days, right? You do it once and then you don't have to worry about it. So we picked up this post hole or post pounder. Gosh, if you haven't seen one of those before, hooks up to the back of the tractor and use the hydraulics. And this large section rams up and down, pounds a large post in the ground. So anyway, I got some things cross-wired so it just keeps spitting out fluid, and I'll get that figured out here in a little bit. But that's gonna help me because I hate digging fence posts, man. It's like the worst. And I've done my share, so I know. But anyway, might be one of those things that other people near me here get to use on their farm when I can figure out how to make this thing work. Well, guys, that's what I have for you this week. You know, it's been a long, poor weather week. I think the one temperature that I can't stand, honestly, is between like 33 and 36 degrees when there's rain-ish. Like, it's like the worst, man. It gets you just soaking. It's cold, little breeze, man. It is just nasty, and it just turns your dirt to mush. One of the worst things out there. So it's been a tough week. But we've done some things, right? You saw we purchased a solar system we're going to put on the roof. That should really help our power bill. I'd probably say 5 months of the year here. I bet it'll do 90 to $100 a month worth of difference. Maybe a little better than that, but it's one of those systems you can expand, and that's pretty awesome. That's one of our deals, though, is like power, right? I mean, if we had to, we could reduce the power we use and it could cover most of it, right? But we also like the way we live, and you produce things on your farm, you might as well produce power on your farm, right? If only I had like an electric car, I could plug that baby in, but I don't because I'm a real man. All right, and then you know, the other thing too, we're finding so many families that are in the same position we're in with you know, not just the one strong man, you know, be a more capable, less dependent person, but with the farm, right, and how they could take the next step themselves and get their journey so that they aren't putting so many hours in that it feels like it's not worth it. And that the joy still has to be there, right? And so for us, if you've been paying attention, we've made some investments this year, and we're about $3,800, I think, is what we're into this 100-day journey. That's from the fence post pounder to the solar system to the new bowl on the property, and a couple other odds and ends things, float valves for our auto waterers. I had to replace that water hydrant. And so we still have a couple more things. We are putting in a different watering system for our lawn, our grass area. We have an area in the back that we just stretch hoses to, but it browns out when the front yard uses far less water by having more regular waterings during the hot season. And so we do a lot of our clippings, we bag it and we throw it to the cattle. And even though I think it's better for them to nip it themselves, I think there's some natural growth and for them there, they still enjoy it and they consume it, and it's good healthy grass too. So thank you for following along. But as I was saying, it's surprising to see how many other families are in the same boat, where they want to have the lifestyle of a homestead, but they don't want to start over like all the other homestead channels where you have to go and find some abandoned building and make it out of borrowed materials. And you don't got to live like that, right? I mean, you just got to remember that what you're trying to do in your homestead is not necessarily make an income, but reduce your expense. And I think that's what this 100-day goal is for us. Get to a point when we're ready to put things in the ground for this spring for us, which should be that second week of April. We want to be ready, and we want to have our farm in a position where we can be the most successful, even though that's a time when it's very busy for us as family. So thank you guys. Remember, like us, subscribe to us, find us on Patreon, and thank you again. We'll talk to you soon.